I'm Eliza LeBeau. Welcome to our podcast. It is My Voice. So we shortened it to My Voice. We had My Voice Has Power, but then we decided, not everybody's voice has power and or yet, or right now, or right. And some people never, like some people are soft spoken and they use their voice very quietly and they still move mountains, right? Maybe still has power. So maybe that's more My Voice is loud. But we shortened it just to My Voice because everybody can utilize their voice in different ways at different times, right?
Right.
Okay, so we've named the podcast My Voice, and today we're going to interview Cassie O'Brien. So I'm not even going to introduce you.
Okay.
I'm going to let you sort of like tell us the stuff. So
Okay.
start with what are you willing to share about yourself?
I'm pretty much an open book.
Open book. What do you want to know? So you have kids.
Yes.
Oldest, youngest, how many kids?
So I have 4 kids. My oldest is about to be 23.
Okay.
She's married. And then my youngest is 16. And he is a junior in high school. So I have girl, boy, girl, boy.
Perfect. So you're almost, you're pretty close to being like an empty nest.
Yeah, that's debatable. I'm kind of not one to like be gone. I'm more like, stay here.
Live here.
Don't leave me.
Well, that's adorable. Hopefully you really like your kids.
I adore my kids.
Perfect.
I love them very much.
Great.
So they teach me.
Good.
So no, I think kids are the best. I love having my kids. They're funny. They make me laugh. They strain my brain. They test my patience.
All of the things.
And they give me opportunities to be the person I never got to have in my life.
Okay. All right.
So
do you want to elaborate on that? Do you want to dive deeper into that?
I just have my mom died when I was really young and
Okay.
she was sick from the time I was 7. And so I had to kind of step in ways, even though I have older siblings, they are 10 and 11 years older than me.
Okay. And then they were quite a bit older than you. So when you were 7, they were 17 and 18 and your mom got really sick.
Yeah. And so she was sick, for the 15 years she lived after that to some degree or another. And my dad worked he was a long haul trucker for years, and then he worked lots of hours because my mom couldn't work a lot of the time. And I did a lot of things on my own as a teenager because my parents didn't have capacity or weren't capable of doing things.
Okay.
So
your mom was sick and your dad maybe was gone.
Yeah. And there was a level of they have their own trauma that I'm aware of now that I didn't know of then. And so they didn't have the best coping skills. And so now I choose to have better coping skills. So I was in marching band, you know, and my kids are in marching band here, and 3 of the 4. And I go to as many competitions as I possibly can.
Right.
I drive the long distances. I don't really care. I'll make it happen. And I was in it for 4 years, and my parents never came to a competition ever. So
so you're trying to show up for your kids in a way you and it sounds like too from a very young age you've been a caretaker your whole life to some degree for other people.
Yeah, because my mom was in a wheelchair the whole time I was in high school. She died when I was 21. So she could kind of get around when I was probably freshman, sophomore. But she got cancer when I was a freshman, and then was in a wheelchair, and then passed away when I was just shy of 22. So
crazy. I didn't know that. Yeah. So fun side story.
Yeah.
From that is Cassie and I knew each other in high school. So, and I came to some of your band competitions.
She sure did.
Cassie was friend adjacent to me. So my friend was also a part of the marching band to some degree. She was band adjacent as well. And so I came to several of those competitions. So I got to see you perform.
So you have seen me perform in high school in marching band more than my parents did.
That's great. Well, so I love that you're changing that, right? Like changing a generational thing, something that could become systemic or be passed along to generations, and you've decided to do something different for your kids.
And I know enough about my own family history, like 100 years ago to now, that I can see how it was passed down. And I have gone, no, we are not going to continue that pattern in this house.
And there is a lot of evidence and studies that support generational trauma.
Yeah.
And that you need to look at it. And that's interesting that that's something that you have done some work looking at and going, no, we're not going to continue this pattern. This is the school counselor in me, the social worker in me.
Right.
But have you sat with that in yourself and gone, I don't need to hold this, and allowed yourself to release the weight of holding that trauma that came, you found out about trauma that people in your family has experienced, and then you went, wait a second, this isn't mine.
Right.
I don't need to hold this anymore. I'm going to set this down. This is mine.
Right.
I understand that this is fully mine and something I need to deal with, but this isn't mine. I don't need to even process it because I don't own it.
Right. To a degree, because some of the stuff I know is like my great grandmother's experience.
Okay.
And so I didn't never know her.
Right.
But I knew her daughter.
Uh-huh.
So my grandma Duffy. And once I found out what happened to her mother, because she was murdered by her husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Ohio in 1921.
Okay.
And so I know what happened. It explains my great grandmother and her experience, which explains my grandfather and his experience.
Right.
Which explains my mother
and her
experience and how that passed to me and how I have taken those generations of experience and just gone, no more.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to hold that anymore. And I'm actually going to mindfully make an effort to change it further.
To move it. To move it out.
To move it out of potentially being sucked back in.
Right.
So that is a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. On purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's interesting. So was there domestic violence involved?
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
With your great-great-grandmother.
Yeah.
And then now here you are. Working in domestic violence, working at Friends Against Family Violence, working as a victim's advocate. 100
years later, across the country, and a gap of 5 generations.
Crazy. Yeah. But I'm assuming you made all these choices to become who you are today before you knew all of this information. Or did you know some of it?
I maybe have known some of it, but like the education you receive becoming an advocate, it kind of makes you take these tidbits of your life and go, oh,
yeah,
that explains so much.
Right. But it's also, it also is a little crazy because you also become the person who, when you take your psychology 1010 class in college, then you start diagnosing everybody. And you're like, okay, so you have OCD and you're bipolar and I have, and you start, so a little bit of that happens too.
Yeah. See, and I don't have I'm an advocate. I'm just a credentialed advocate. Right. So I didn't take any of those, but it's enough adjacent that I go, I may not be as specific, but oh, there's definitely some neurodivergence.
I could see some of this.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, so tell me, so what was your path? So you go to high school, you're in the marching band.
I know Eliza LaBeouf.
Yep. You spent a lot of time being a caretaker, not just for yourself, but for your mom as well. And then, did you have younger siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 younger siblings.
Okay, so you were helping them as well.
Yeah,
I'm assuming. And then from there, then what happens in the life of Cassie?
So I worked in retail for a long time.
Okay.
I met my husband.
Retail, we're talking like
Fred Meyer.
Okay.
Back in the day.
I love Fred Meyer.
So I worked there long enough for it to become Smith Marketplace,
which I also love.
Yes. I met my husband there. We were hired on the same day. And we
shared trauma.
Maybe a little bit.
That's a joke.
We're one of those.
I understand it's not real trauma working at Fred Meyer. I mean,
so I met my husband there. We were actually friends for a really long time. Kind of work adjacent because we worked different shifts. And we were like, oh, I know that person, And then things kind of happened and we, got together, had our daughter. Um, and then we got married after we had her. So we're a bit of a statistical anomaly there.
Right.
And then here we are 25 years later. We've been married for almost 22 years and have 3 additional kids.
Right.
I kind of moved away from that retail setting when we had, I think I was pregnant with our third kiddo with Arwen. And we're like, okay, we can't afford all the daycare for all these kids.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I did daycare for a while because of that. Like I held daycare at my house for that very reason. Okay.
Yeah. So I did.
Because you can't afford to put, you have to make a lot of money to put 3 kids in daycare and still bring home a paycheck at the end of it.
Yeah. So I did daycare after we had our last 2 kiddos. And I did that for 5 years. And then we had the opportunity to move to Texas.
Okay.
And we lived in Texas for 6 years. And while we were there, I started off working as like a long-term substitute teacher in the elementary school my kids were at because it just made sense.
You take them with you and you bring them home with you.
Yeah. So there was no daycare issue there anymore.
That's being a teacher for a lot of people. That's why they become teachers.
Right. So I did that for a while, but I was working with kids who had violent outbursts and mental health issues.
Okay.
And it was really, really hard. Probably one of the hardest job I've ever had because I had kids screaming at me and being violent with me and calling me names that I wouldn't call my worst enemy.
Right.
And telling me to do really
terrible,
horrendous things.
Using their imagination to the fullest extent.
I hope that it was their imagination is all I'm going to say. And so I did that for a while and it just got to the point where I was like, oh boy,
this is hard.
I just can't, I don't know how much longer I can do this because I would take my kids home, send them in the house and I would sit in my car and just like doom scroll for like 30 to 45 minutes to decompress my brain because I didn't have like a commute. The school was 3 blocks from my house.
Right.
And so I needed time to adjust from like turning off all of
what you were dealing with
to being able to be okay to be mom again.
Right.
So I did that for a year when I was in Texas. And then things kind of were shifting at the school district there. And I had a friend I was working with who says, I think you would be really great doing working at Tralee Crisis Center. And that's the name of the crisis center that was in Pampa, Texas.
Okay.
And so I just applied, and they had a position called a children's advocate.
Okay.
And so with all my experience in a school and then doing daycare for 5 years, I was
and then the school working with kids with behavioral problems.
Yeah. So I started off there. And it's a tiny little town, just like Vernal in the Texas Panhandle, about an hour and 15 minutes from Amarillo.
Okay.
And so I worked there for 3 years and I just learned to love it and just being an advocate in general. And I have a kind of pretty logical mind, like a pretty typical type A.
Right.
And so seeing a clear path through chaos is kind of one of my strong points.
Right. So you could solve the problem. You could see it all, take in all the emotions, but still understand how to get to a logical outcome.
Yeah. Like point A to point B, and also being able to be enough spontaneous to like, oh, if this is the outcome, then we're going to go this direction. If this is the outcome, we're going to go this direction.
Be able to make decisions in the moment and act on your feet, like based on whatever is coming at you.
Right. So I worked there for 3 years and I got my national credentialing from when I started there.
So what is that? I don't know what that is.
So it's the NACP, which is the National Advocate Credentialing Program.
Okay.
And it has different levels to it. Based on training and experience. So it takes 40 hours minimum to get your, what's it called?
Like your base level?
Yeah, like preliminary, I think is what they call it, base one, the first one. And you only need a 40-hour training. for
Okay.
that, which is really easy when you work for any DVSP
Right.
or domestic violence service provider, because that's what you're required to take. And then they have a basic, an intermediate, and a expert. I can't remember.
4 levels?
There's 4 levels.
Okay.
And at each level, you have to increase your training. You have a minimum of like 40 hours worth of training every 2 years,
Okay.
plus your base.
Okay.
Plus, you have to get letters of recommendation, observation forms filled out, as well as a couple other forms. And you have to provide certificates and all these things. So by the time I finished applying for that, I went straight to basic
Okay.
because of the hours I had worked. That's
Right.
one of the requirements. And if I were to apply today, I could actually get the highest level. So
The top one.
yeah, the top one. So
is there any advantage to applying for that?
it gives a
That level.
little validity to your experience and your training when you're someone like me who doesn't have like a college degree.
So is that a more non-traditional path, or is that more typical for
I think
victims
it's like a 50-50 at this point.
Okay. So that's the goal, right? Is to become is it a victims advocate? Is it what's the title that?
It's going to depend on where you live,
Okay.
the scope of the work you do, and like who your employer is.
Okay.
Because the victim assistance that's what my title was when I worked at the Amarillo Police Department, because I worked there for 2 years.
Victims assistant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it also depends on if you're in a courtroom,
Mhm.
if you're in like a courtroom setting, if you're in a nonprofit, if you're at the police department.
Right. So whoever you're working for, your role title, your title is going to change a little bit, but the gist is the same. You are
Pretty
the
much.
advocate for the human
Mhm.
that needs the services. And
Right.
so it sounds like at some point you were a children's advocate.
Right. And then I became a legal advocate at Tralee.
Okay.
Because I was specializing in protective orders and interacting with the court.
That's when that specific is to court.
Yeah.
We're going with them to court.
Yeah, I was specializing in that.
Okay.
And it's some of the titles can be tied to grant needs as well.
Right. Yeah.
So, and Tralee provided children's services as well. That's something that FAFE doesn't do quite the same, because we have a local CJC.
Right.
Or
Children's
Justice Center. Yeah. So, but we didn't have one of those where I lived before.
So it was all in one house.
Yeah. So, but with the NACP, you can actually get specializations as well, because they have domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, campus violence, if you're on a college campus.
Okay.
And I think there's one other one, but if you specialize in 3 or more, you can get what's called comprehensive, and I have a comprehensive.
Okay.
So.
Is there one that's just like a general victim, like victims of crime or victims of?
Not for NACP specifically.
Okay.
But the majority of what advocates do are working with people who are victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse.
Okay.
I mean, there's other ones that are involved too, and you can kind of get like generic training on that. Because like robbery.
Right.
Or
it's theft or a mugging.
Right.
Or
so
I can think of several things like beat up.
Well, yeah, because there's regular assault,
right,
aggravated assault,
right,
and then there's also like DWIs. That's actually a crime against a person too.
Right.
So it just depends on the scope of the work you do. So at the police department, I did
all of those.
Yeah.
If you're working for the police, you would be covering all of those.
Yeah, all of those. And I think there's stalking and human trafficking all fall under that.
Right.
And the FAFE is specifically domestic violence and sexual assault and abuses. So
right. And then child abuse, they go through the CJC or contact them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I got to Tralee, and then my husband moved to Amarillo for his job, and so I worked at the Amarillo Police Department for a year and a half. So I was a
victim's advocate.
And that's a system based advocate versus a community based.
Okay.
And then we made some decisions that we were like, we want to move back to Utah, but we don't want to go back to Cache Valley.
Right.
And we had come through Vernal in 2018 on our way back to Texas, and the flowers were out, and I was just like dying. I was like, so pretty.
Oh, I thought you were dying because of
No.
allergies. Because
Oh, no.
literally on my hair, I was dying. I was like, if I keep sneezing, I'm gonna run into something
No.
because my eyes are closed more than they're open.
No, like I'm a big plant nerd,
Okay.
and so like we came in June when everything was just beautiful. I was like, I love it here, and we loved the small town vibe of Pampa. We appreciated that so much, but we miss the mountains so bad because you can see for like 100 miles in every direction in the Texas Panhandle. So we made decisions in 2018, and we put up our house for sale, and it took a year to sell that in Texas at the time. And then we moved to Amarillo, making some conscious choices.
Right.
And then we came back in 2020 in October
To Vernal.
We were driving to Vernal. Yeah. And I was sitting on the back of a 4-wheeler behind my then 14-year-old son.
Okay.
And we're riding through the mountains, and he, like, happiness is like radiating off of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally start crying.
You were like, oh.
And we got off the 4-wheeler, and I looked at my husband and I said, we have to figure this out sooner rather than later. We can't wait. So literally we get back to Texas 3 days later, and I start looking for a job. And I found FAFE like on Indeed or something that had a job posted. And I found them on Facebook, and got their newsletter, and I just started like paying attention.
Right.
And that was October. And right at Christmas, they posted a community-based advocate job. And I went, oh gosh. But it was not gosh. I'm just going to make that very clear. Because my daughter was a senior in high school.
Right.
And we talked to my husband, and I was like, are we doing this right now? Is this when we're doing this?
Right.
Is this going to work? And we talked about it for days, and I was like, I don't know if we can pass this up.
Right.
And so I submitted my resume with a very long cover letter explaining why they should consider this person who lives in Texas. And on the very last day it was open, and did a whole Hail Mary, and then they interviewed me a few days later, and probably like 2 weeks later, maybe.
So this is 2020?
2021, just barely, because it was right in January.
Right, the new year.
Yeah, because they closed, I think they closed the job right after New Year's. And over New Year's, when I was working at the PD, they had a drive-by gang shooting, and they had 7 people dead. And so I had to deal with 7 homicides. And I just kind of was like, I think I'm done.
I would like to move.
Yeah. I would like to not have to do with 7 homicides in one day.
Yeah.
Wow. So
it's a big ask.
It was a lot. And so I did my interview, and they offered me the position, and they're like, no, you have a daughter who's in high school. You can't really wait till May.
Right.
And I had told my husband, I was like, I think I have a good chance. If I don't get the position, it means they already have somebody in mind.
Right.
And so we're like, and I said, they're not going to wait till May.
Right.
And we're like, well, okay. At this point, we're towards the end of January.
Right. March, April.
Yeah. That's a long time. And I was like, I don't know if they're going to hold on to that, because graduation's the end of May.
February, March,
April,
May.
So
4 months.
4 whole months.
Right.
And I was like, what if we go on spring break? And if they offer it to me, I can go on spring break. It gives me a month to give to the police department, because this is still when COVID is happening.
Yeah.
So everything.
Yeah,
is
it's
lower.
the year of wearing masks to school.
Yeah. So masks to school, masks to work.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing.
Yeah.
I had a coworker that I shared a very small office with, and she was immunocompromised, and I didn't see her in person for a year.
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe this is what we do. And just to give everyone time to adjust. And that's what we did. And so March of that year, I came out for spring break. My husband, my kids came with me, dropped me off, because I have one friend from post high school that lives out of Jensen, and I lived in her backyard for 2 months in a camper.
Oh, well, there you go.
So-
And then she finished high school.
Yeah. So they stayed in Texas. I went back for graduation, and the day after graduation, we finished loading up some trucks and drove to Pampa to watch kids that we cared about graduate there, and we left directly from there. And then we ended up, we are
Been
in
here ever
Arnold.
since.
Yep, 5 years.
So 5 years at Friends Against Family Violence. So how many years total have you
10.
been since you started being a child advocate?
10.
So 10 years. You're 10 years in as, I want to call you a social worker, and I know you don't have that degree, but that's what you do.
I work in social work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 10 years. 10 years is a long time.
It's 3 times longer than the average length of a career of an advocate.
3 times.
Yeah.
So on average,
3.5 years.
3.5 years is the total length of time.
That's the average that most people can get through being an advocate.
Is that
like I gotta get out?
Is that just is that burnout?
Yeah. Like if they can cope with the stressors of it, if they can separate their own lives, if they can.
Well, so what do you do to do those things? What do you do to separate your own life?
Well, I'm going to be truthful. There has been times when I haven't done it very well. It's really hard. It's really, really hard.
Well, I would think that the reason that you became an advocate in the first place is because you very much love humans and you want to help them through something hard.
I'm a helper. Like that's who I am by nature.
Again, you have been your whole life.
Yeah.
Right. You were preordained into that.
I actually call being an advocate my vocation because I'm Catholic.
Okay.
And vocation holds a heavy connotation for me.
Okay.
It means called by God.
Okay.
So it is my vocation the same way as being a wife is my vocation, as being a mother is my vocation.
Okay.
Like it's the same level of weight
importance
in my
and heaviness
in my person.
Okay.
That it is. That's a part of my identity at this point.
Okay. I totally agree. So it's who you are so much. It's who you've been the whole time. And so I can see how it would be very hard to separate.
Yeah.
Because how do you set down a part of yourself?
Right.
And then move into the wife and mother part of yourself without carrying the hardness of that, the difficultiness of that, the sadness of that with you. So what happens when you bring it home with you?
I will try to give me a little space to be in my home versus my work environment, to kind of reset. I try to change my clothes.
Okay.
That doesn't always work, but it does help. It does help.
Your perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not in work clothes anymore.
Yeah. I will have a cup of tea or just do something. I have this ritual. You'll appreciate this. I change my clothes, and if not my whole outfit, at least my shoes, and I go get eggs for my chickens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the ritual of putting something down and then picking up this other part of my person and going out there and
I'm setting down my work stuff. I'm setting down my work bag. And I'm picking up my chicken egg basket.
Yes.
And I'm going outside.
Yeah.
And I'm interacting with my chickens who are crazy. Because chickens are crazy. My chickens are crazy.
And my dogs are usually losing their minds at the same time. And sometimes they're trying to murder the chicken.
Your chickens try to get out because my chickens totally try to dig.
On occasion, yes.
Chickens are the world's best diggers. Who knew?
Rabbits are worse. I used to have.
I'm not going to get any rabbits, but I have noticed that my chickens, and they can dig. Better diggers than my dog. Oh, they're great diggers. They dig.
I have big old holes in places, but they do not get to free range at my house. But yeah, that would wreck everything. Yeah, they absolutely would. Yeah. Yes, they would.
Yeah. So you get home, drop off your stuff, you pick up your other stuff, you go outside, you interact with your chickens.
Right.
And this gives you a reset.
Yeah, it just helps me kind of reset my brain. And then I can come back into the house and just be mom.
Right.
It works probably 97% of the time.
I love that.
So
I love that you do it.
Yeah. And that's a year-round thing.
Right.
Because
you have chickens and eggs forever.
Yeah. Soon it'll also include the the garden and like all
right.
of those things.
It
too.
becomes bigger in the summer,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But even in the winter, if you have heaters, your chickens
Mhm.
lay eggs.
Yeah.
You need food and
Yeah.
water. Okay.
Yeah. And I have 6 little babies right now.
Oh, I love that.
I think I have a rooster in there.
Oh my.
It's fine. I live in the country. Nobody cares. There are roosters everywhere.
So after your routine, and you said it works 97% of the time.
Yeah.
My question is, with phones
Mhm.
and with the availability of phones,
Mhm.
one of my big things against cell phones and social media, and I'm not against them.
Right.
They're super helpful, right? I have a phone. I love it. I use it for all sorts of things.
Mhm.
But I hate how they have wrecked this boundary line between work and home,
Mm.
and the other way too.
Right.
The other way too, because so my last job was a school counselor.
Yeah.
But my husband could text me and say, I need last year's taxes. And I was like, okay, just hang on 1 second. And then I could look on my phone and find him in my email and forward him to him wherever he's at.
Mhm.
Right. And so it blurs the line both directions. Because you're at work and you get texts from your kids or calls from your kids. And it's easier than it was when I had to like physically call my dad
Mhm.
and talk to the secretary.
Yeah.
And then ask to see if he was in his office,
Mhm.
see if he's on his phone or not, right? And then like, do you have time to talk to me?
Mhm.
And so I had to have a pretty good freaking reason to call
Yeah.
if I was going to call, right?
Right.
Because there were a lot of people involved and like time, right?
Mhm.
But your kids now can text and be like, Mom, I see we have some Oreos. So I'm going to go ahead
Right.
and have some Oreos. And you're like, cool, I'm at work, like I'm in a very important meeting. And you're like, yeah, go ahead and have some Oreos.
Mhm.
Then, right?
Right.
But because of that, there are no lines anymore.
Right.
Or there aren't lines unless we set them up ourselves, which we are terrible at doing because of the convenience of it all.
Mhm.
So with your job specifically, you're following this routine, but if you are not on call,
Mhm.
how good are you at not checking your work emails or not checking? And then also, I know specifically social work, I've had a few social work jobs where you have to be available all the time.
Right.
So where does that phone sit?
Mhm.
How have you separated that? Like, do you get what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying. I'm going to say I'm not great at it because we are, I supervise others.
Okay.
Number one.
So you have to be available.
I need to be available
24/7 basically.
Yeah. In case there's a catastrophe that they need my help.
Right.
Because we go on call with law enforcement.
Right.
And there's instructions that if you can't get a hold of the advocate, call Cassie.
Right.
So I'm working right now actually on like building some better boundaries for myself because I can't turn those notifications off.
Right.
But
well, and you shouldn't.
Right.
But how do you get to where? I mean, it's almost like you need a secondary phone, like a burner phone.
Right.
And when this phone rings, Mom has to answer it.
Mhm.
Mom now has to be work Cassie.
Right.
And I have to answer this phone.
Right.
But if this burner doesn't ring,
Right.
like I don't have to respond to text.
Right.
Like if you have a question that can wait till work Cassie tomorrow at 8, then send a text, or an email. But I'm not going to answer it.
So the way our phones work for work is actually an app that routes through our phones. And so if I'm not on call and I do get a text message, I'll see what it's about. Like I will read it. And if it's not something that is like urgent, then it will wait. But if it's something like I've had clients who are like, he's here, there's a violation of a protective order.
I need help.
I need help.
Yeah.
Then I absolutely am going to respond.
Right.
So turning that on and off it can be hard.
That's hard. Well, and not only that, because of your attention, your attention, like inside, you have an automatic attention for your phone. So if you always know that anytime your phone buzzes, it could be somebody who needs your help. Yeah. That is always turned on for you. Yeah. That is a problem to some degree.
It can be hard.
Hence the 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because of that being turned on all the time.
Well, I'm on call right now and I have the phone behind me.
Mm-hmm.
It's silenced, but if it buzzes, I'm going to have to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'll have to divert that to one of the advocates in Uvalde County right now.
Yeah. So what do you do? Like, and maybe now isn't the time to brainstorm it, but it is interesting to see you need to do something to protect yourself to keep, if you want to keep doing your job.
Right.
And if you want to be good at your job.
Right.
Because otherwise you suffer from all the things that happen when you have burnout.
Yeah.
And some of them are not pretty.
Right.
Some of them are very, very much not pretty.
Right.
Yeah. And I worked as a victims advocate a long time ago in Idaho Falls.
Mm-hmm.
And for sure, our center director suffered from a breakdown of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
It had been going on for too long and she had not taken care of herself.
Yeah. I mean, I have other things, like I go to therapy twice a month.
That's good.
Yeah. I try to do things that I enjoy with intention.
Uh-huh.
So, and even things that I'm like, kind of feel semi like, I don't know if I want to do that. When I know that on the other side of things, I'll be happy that I did it. I'll do it anyway.
Right.
But I think that self-care can be more than just the things I want to do. Like I have a ritual for, this is how laundry gets done on the weekend. So I don't have to think about it during the week.
Right.
And it makes my family bonkers, but it's a coping skill for me.
Well, and Vic, if you want to do laundry some other time, feel free to do it when I am not around and it's not my problem.
Right.
Go nuts. Y'all know how to use the washer, right?
Yeah. And it's my laundry.
Right.
When I say laundry, it's my laundry and maybe some towels.
Right. Which also, though, there.
Yeah.
I get to be at home mom on weekends and I own the washer. So I freaking will decide what day I'm doing my laundry.
Yeah.
And that will be the day that I do it. Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can just do your own. I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm pretty intentional with some of that. It doesn't mean it always works.
No.
Because there are cases that are hard to process and hard to, get out of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And, but sometimes it's just, I need a little bit longer is the answer to process.
You just need, a little more time.
Yeah.
A little more space.
A little more space from it. A little less interaction with the person.
Right.
Right. Because sometimes things are really intense for short amounts, like bursts of time. Mm-hmm. And then it pitters off and then
you're fine.
And then it's fine.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's interesting too, because you really could, you have insight where others don't, because they don't last that long.
Right.
They don't, because it is a hard job. It is a demanding job. And we were talking a little bit earlier about what it does, what stress does to your body.
Yeah.
What stress does to your insides.
Right. Yeah.
What stress does to your capacity to your body to get rid of diseases.
Right.
Yes.
Or not function.
Or not get rid of diseases.
Yeah. Hold on to that like for dear life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's a correlation between a lot of stress related disease and syndromes and whatever you want to call it and the work that we do.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of research lately into dysregulated nervous systems, and I know for sure, and it's been interesting that it's now when I'm looking at the research, because I've started actually doing some of the practices before now, like the somatic movement, and then like our vagus nerve and stuff that we do to stimulate it.
Right.
And it's been interesting because I have found as I've gone down this journey to become like a healthier human.
Right.
A lot of the things, they're all interconnected, but I have also found out that if you want to lose weight and you're only doing the exercise thing, it may not be happening for you, especially if you are working in a high stress job or a job where you're holding on, or where you're experiencing traumatic stress through other people, secondary stress, secondary trauma. So there's like
the genetic factor that's involved in that as well. Right. Like we said, like I have 5 generations of trauma. How did the stress from a DV situation 100 years ago, how did that get passed down? Because I have lots of theories on that
Yeah.
are probably not approved by the FDA or CDC or any of those people.
Well, but it is interesting to see that how it plays out, right? And I really do think the more I look into it, the more I think that if our nervous system is not regulated, then we are going to have, it's going to show up in the craziest of ways.
Absolutely.
And the craziest of places.
Right. Well, and I'm very much an external processor. Like, I will yap your ear off when I'm trying to process something, and it shouldn't do that. But it's just but
that's why too, it's a really good idea. You need somebody to work, like at work, within the safety of this net, to have those conversations with, because I need to process what's going on. Like that's why we have professional, people that we work with, people we can have those discussions with, those conversations with.
Yeah, but like I found kind of recently that external processing can also be like external sensation processing. So I just bought this is going to be crazy.
Hit me with that.
I just bought a walking pad to have in my office.
Okay, I love those.
Okay, but my walking pad has a vibration setting, like,
so it vibrates. So while you walk?
No, separately, one or the other. And so I was just messing around with it the other day and yesterday, and I was standing on it, and there's two settings to it, and I realized the sensation in my body on the higher setting after 2 minutes, I could literally feel my nervous system like do something.
Shift.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. I'm like,
I have one of those vibration plates.
Oh yeah, so it's another. Yeah. So
good. So maybe you're like unlocking something.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I need this. My body needs this. And that's what it is, right? When I talk to people, that's what it is. What works for you is not necessarily going to work for me. I might learn something from you and go, oh, you know what? I'm going to take that and twist it. And then if I do this, that will work for me.
Well, I'm a person who actually gets a lot of satisfaction from physical manual labor. Like I love working outside. I love making the bread, the end result, like all of those things. And in this work, there's really not like a physical manifestation most of the time.
No, you're not doing a lot of physical labor.
Yeah. And so, being able to getting the walking pad and physically moving while I'm working, I think will be beneficial for my whole nervous system.
Yeah, that actually. So you need one of those desks that like.
I have one.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I love it. It stands up and stuff. So I'm hoping that will kind of reset my own nervous system with my own.
I like it. I'm an advocate of that. I've been telling my husband for years that like places like airports or places where people are waiting, they should like have treadmills and you can put like quarters in them or whatever. And or bikes, workout bikes or yoga equipment.
Like
my kids are always like, why are you stretching?
I'm
like, do it with me. Do it with me. Then that's weird. Let's do it together. Because in a minute, we're going to sit down for 12 hours and not move. So let's touch our toes right now. So that we'll feel better when we are. It's crazy. Anyway.
So
your body.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm working on.
Good.
I'm not very good at it, especially coming out of winter.
Well, but it does sound like you have some things figured out, and then there's just other things that you need to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Figuring out the electronic, being connected, always being the only option sounds hard. I feel like it would be nice sometimes if there was somebody else or like another supervisor to share the load with.
It's a work in progress.
You take a turn. Something.
Yeah. Because the on-call thing is like new. We've only been doing it since August. And I've never needed to be called outside my own on-call space. But like there is just this awareness that's always on.
And that is draining.
Yeah.
It is draining.
And part of it though is because there's only in UN County we only have 4 people that are on call and we rotate through the month on like 2 to 3 day shifts. And then in Duchesne County, because it's set up differently, they do week long at a time.
Okay.
So but they are at this point are only called out for SANE exams, so sexual assault nurse examinations. And so they don't happen nearly as often. And I mean, we get called out almost every shift. There's a call out, at least one, and sometimes 3, right? Or 7, like a few weekends ago.
Right.
And we really do need like volunteers to help carry that load with just like 1 or 2 days a month to help distribute that crisis call out, and then so that we can carry the case management.
So somebody,
does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
No. Yeah. So what you're saying is somebody who feels a calling to serve in this capacity with victims of domestic violence and sexual assault and abuse, but doesn't have that capacity to have this be their full-time job.
Right.
But maybe they could give you 1 or 2 days a week when they're willing to be on call, or a month.
A month.
I meant a month.
1 or 2 days a month would be a game changer for the advocates who do this 40 hours a week plus being on call.
Right. Well, and it would, they would come, like, obviously there would be training involved.
Tons.
And then once they were certified and ready to do these things, and then, but that 1 or 2 days a month would really make a difference in the advocates who are serving all the time, who are doing this around the clock.
Enormous, because we have staff members who aren't going to be available for on call because they're going to have babies.
Right.
So we have 1 in each county that will have to be taken off the on call. 1 in July and 1 in August.
Well,
and they'll be out for a few months. So
who knows who listens to this podcast, but if you're listening to it and this speaks to you and you feel that, call Friends Against Family Violence and let them know that you're willing to be one of those people who are trained, right, and have the capacity to give back a little bit for whatever reason, right? Maybe because 5 generations ago something happened in your family, or maybe not, right? Maybe you have no experience with it, but it's just something that
maybe you're just a helper. Maybe you have a person in your life that it's happened to, because I don't think I've ever met a person in my entire life who wasn't affected by domestic violence.
Who doesn't know? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think everybody knows somebody.
You may not know it though.
Right. I used to tell that statistic to teenagers that rape is more common than left-handedness. And then I'd say, who in the room is left-handed? And I'm like, okay, do you guys all know this person? Right. You know somebody who's been raped. Right. You just don't know that you know somebody who's right. And it's the same thing with domestic violence. You just maybe are not aware, but you are interacting with somebody who's had an experience. Right.
Well, and then the knowledge of what domestic violence is, because it's not always physical.
Right.
That's the part. It may not be prosecutable. Still domestic violence.
Well, I found it's very hard to explain what domestic violence is.
Yep. Every experience is unique.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Heavy topic.
Go down that rabbit hole. But I mean, going back to having volunteers who are willing to help carry like a little portion of that heavy load so that the advocates can sleep.
Right.
and go to that band concert, or go to that
without having to have
with muffins, moms and muffins event, or my kids' soccer game, and know that
you're not gonna have to get up and leave.
Yeah. So because sometimes you just have to get up and leave those things. Like I've gotten up in the middle of church and had to leave.
Yeah.
And luckily I could go back in because it was just a phone call.
Right.
But you don't know when you see dispatch on your phone.
Right. You get up and answer the phone.
Get up and you answer regardless of what else is going on. And that's a separate heavy load.
Well, there's some trauma that can come from that. I know when I've received phone calls that are really hard, then for a while, just when I get phone calls from one of my kids, when my kids call me, even when they call me, I want them to tell me immediately what they're calling me for.
Right.
No chit chat. Why are you calling?
Yeah.
Because once you've received a couple of phone calls that are alarming,
Right.
then when they call, why are you calling?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you texting me?
Right.
And then, so I want, if you're just calling to chat, that's cool. But start with, hey mom, I'm calling to chat. Okay,
Great. Turn that part of my brain
calm right back down. What do you want to chat about?
Yeah.
We're happy to talk.
Right.
Yeah, but it's true. So when you that part of you is on call when you're on call, and it's on call all the time in the background.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that.
And like we're kind of limited where we can go.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't. You have to be able to get
quickly
to the place that you need to be.
Yeah. And so sometimes I even like right now, where I am right now, even though I'm on call, I would have to give it to one of my advocates.
You'd have to call somebody who's closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to be like, I'll be there in a minute, as fast as I can. So
I need you to go fill in for me.
Yeah. Get there. But that's the great thing about the people that I work with. Like, it's okay. There's no questions asked. It's where am I going? Yeah. There's no like,
they would do it
my
for
turn.
You.
Oh yeah. It's a non-existent thing.
But that also is a problem at the other end where there is no boundary and they know that they could get called anytime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like which is part of the job.
It's just part of the job.
Yeah, which I get.
Yeah.
It's just finding out what boundaries you can set and which ones you can't, but you can establish things around them.
Right. And that's still a work in progress for us because what we're doing is unique for pretty much anywhere.
Right.
And new to us at the same time. So we don't have a lot of like.
So talk about that. What is the thing that we're doing that is
unique? In Uena County, back in August, FAFB took on-call advocacy with law enforcement during a domestic violence incident. Usually that falls under different advocates. It's very rarely a community-based advocate program that does that because of confidentiality.
Did it used to be law enforcement based? Did it used to be agency based? So it used to be through their own agencies, but now they're going through.
Right. There was just some financial needs of the city and the county. And so they asked FAFE to take that on. And I think that it has worked out phenomenally. But there is a weight that comes with that. Right. So, I mean, there's some kinks that we always are working out, but people working with people, there's always going to be kinks in that.
Right. But it connects. It's connecting those people right away, and letting them know we're available if you want our services. Right. If you don't, it's okay. We're just here for this to make sure you're okay right now.
So it started off a couple of years ago when legislation mandated that law enforcement call the local domestic violence service provider when they performed a lethality assessment protocol screening. Okay. And if it came back high, they were required to call.
Okay.
So that's the beginning of this. And it took like 2.5 years or 3 years maybe to get there. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's where it began. And the legislation is they shall, which in legal terms means you don't have a choice.
You have to do this.
You have to do this. And so that's where it began. And then over time, as the language was clarified in the law, it became a little bit more, not narrow, but clearer. And so when the needs of the community and the law came into play, the best choice was for FAFB to take over that in Uena County because it's that county specific. And so when law enforcement goes out on a call with a domestic violence call, once they secure the scene for safety, dispatch will call us and say, hey, can you respond to this address? And so we go out and we provide advocacy on scene 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So we're doing releases of information to share with we're on camera already.
Right.
So we just need to be able to share information. We have what's called a domestic violence high risk team, one in Duchesne County, one in Uintah County. And we usually are able to get a release of information for that on scene as well. Because if the lap comes back high, it's a discussion that needs to be had.
Right.
That team is geared towards offender accountability. So, and then a little bit of advocacy for the victim in that case, but it's really geared towards that offender piece.
Okay.
And then,
and you said if the lap comes back high, and the lap is the
lethality assessment protocol.
Assessment.
Yeah. Okay. And then if they need to go to the shelter, we can take them to the shelter. We
just whatever options. Here we have a bunch of options.
Yeah.
What do you want? Or do you need something that we haven't listed?
Right.
What is that?
And sometimes it's, here, please sign these forms so that we can talk to the other partners. Do you need to go to shelter? Do you need to go to hospital? What do you need right now? What resources do you need? Can I help you make any phone calls?
Right.
Like, do you need your mom, your best friend,
right.
things like that?
Do you want help moving forward?
Right. Can we set up an appointment for later?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing. Every case is different.
Obviously.
Every scenario is different. I've been out for, my average is about an hour and 15 minutes-ish.
Okay.
But I've been out for 3.5 hours before. So it just depends on what's going on.
It's not like domestic violence happens during business hours.
Rarely. Usually 2:30.
Right. Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah. Like right when your body gets to that really good.
I'm usually having a cortisol spike right then. So I'm usually awake before the phone rings.
Perfect.
So, and we just go where they need us.
Yeah.
So, and we show up and we stay out of the way. We help, we're about bringing the tissues while they provide the safety.
Mm-hmm.
And giving them space to go find the bad guy, quote unquote. Right.
Well, and also
while I take care of the victim.
Yeah. And setting up you're setting up future safety. Mm-hmm. What do you want to do? What do you want that to look like? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, lots of safety planning. Lots of
feel like
lots of, we're the kids because we're mandated reporters. Right. And so
we're the kids present.
Yeah. So there's lots of questions like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's been going really great.
Good.
We are busy all the time.
I want to say good, but I might not. That's not good.
Right.
But I'm glad that you're available and that you're getting in contact with the people who need you. Right. It's unfortunate that they do.
Right.
So.
Right. I once used the line, a commissioner meeting because I was asking for funding for our domestic violence conference. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I would love you to be a part of the reason I don't have a job anymore because I'm not needed anymore.
Yeah.
That'd be
great.
Goal.
It'd be great.
But
yeah,
I don't foresee that happening.
Yeah.
I wish it was a thing.
Yeah.
I wish it was a thing, but it's just the reality of the human existence.
I know. Well, So tell me, what's your, like, you've explained your why, how you ended up where you're at.
Yeah.
Well, what's your why now? Why is it that you're still doing what you're doing? Why is it that you haven't moved on to something that is less hurtful to you?
It goes back to vocation.
You were called.
I was called.
The big guy said, "Hey, Cassie."
Yeah. And I had to wait until I was older to be called. Like, I was always a helper, but I had to do a certain path to get where I am now.
To here.
And it had to be not in Cache Valley, number one, because I never in a million years would have gotten involved with CAPSA because it wasn't in my scope of, like, my world.
Right. It wasn't even on your radar.
Right. Yeah. I knew what it was, but not in the slightest. And, but I just want to be a helper. And then, when I tell people all the time that living in Vernal for me is like living in like a Hallmark movie.
Oh,
Like I just love it. Like all the cool things that we do downtown and like the farmers market, like all those
shout out
ridiculous
to our travel and tourism.
all those like ridiculous Hallmark movies with like the hay bales and the fall festival.
You're just talking about Gilmore Girls right now. Let's be honest.
I kind of think it's more like Ghost Whisperers.
Okay.
Because I never watched Gilmore Girls.
I've seen Ghost Whisperers too. I hear you. I feel the vibe.
But that's the vibe, like, and I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it here. And I tell people that I called Vernal home before I lived here because it was a part of like my person to be, and the existence I wanted for myself and for my kids. And for people who don't get to experience the love for the place that they live, the way that I love the place that I live,
right?
I want to help them find that,
right?
However that is, and for them to just be like safe and happy, and supported and seen and understood and not in a hole by themselves. Like not alone. That's why, because I want everyone, like, I am a transplant, but I am a very proud Basinite at this point because we're 5 years in. Right. I think I get to own that now.
Right. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. But I'm never leaving. I love it here. We worked 3 years as a family collectively to get our family here. And I remember the night that we pulled into town with my husband and my kids, and they lived here now too. And I remember weeping because I was like, we made it. Oh my gosh, we made it. And that emotion I want everyone to have. Like when someone is leaving an abusive relationship, I want them to have that. I made it. We're here. I'm finally here.
Yeah, and that's not the leaving, that's the arriving at the next.
Yeah. Arriving at a goal. It doesn't have to be the goal.
Right. Whatever.
A goal. Yeah. So that's part of it. And I want my kids to live in a better place than we grew up in.
Yeah.
With more information and a louder voice.
Louder voices.
A louder voice.
Do you think that you plan to just do this until you retire? This is the thing for you.
This is it.
You love it. I love that you love it.
I cannot imagine doing anything else.
Be like the grandma advocate.
Maybe. I could. My daughter's working on having a baby, so
maybe you could be convinced.
Yeah.
Take some time off.
We'll just go for Nan, not grandma. Nan. What I'm aiming for. So, but yeah, I just want people to be safe and happy and whole and healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all things.
All the areas.
So, I mean, maybe one day I'll give up and not give up, but change direction and teach cooking classes or something. This is how you make sourdough.
Well, that would be lovely as well.
You need to start, let me know.
Right.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Really, it's a call for volunteers, and it's an expression of love. You do what you love,
and I do the thing I love in the place that I love. Like I will never have the words to express that. Like I still wake up 5 years later and go, I can't believe I get to live here. Oh, this is it.
Good.
I can't imagine doing anything else.
Well, I think we should end on that note. It's a call for advocates. It's a call for volunteers to come and help and just give a little bit.
And come talk to us, like when you see us in the community, because we do show up at quite a few community events. Come and ask, like, how can I help? What can we do?
Right.
What's information I should know? There are statistics out there that people are like, what?
Yeah. Not very aware of.
Yeah, like one that always sticks in my brain is 10% of the population of the state of Utah lives in a rural community. 10%. We experience 17% of violent crime.
So our percent of crime is higher.
A lot higher. It's almost double.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And we have things in place just because we live in rural communities that create obstacles that other places don't have.
Right.
Distance.
Yeah, distance is a real
big
thing.
one.
Yeah, if you don't have a car, it's hard to get anywhere.
Yeah. So there are things that are involved in that I wish people were just aware of.
Right.
Like, this is what it looks like. This is contributing factors. This is our unique contributing factors, because the basin has some really interesting, unique ones.
Right.
And that nowhere else in the state has this collection of things.
Right.
So, and that's a whole nother point.
Well, but it's also, yeah, but well, and like you said, it's also a place where we have events on Main Street in the summertime. And, you know, we also have that Hallmark movie vibe. Yeah.
Which I wouldn't trade for nothing.
Yeah. So if people are interested, they can look at fasv.org. They can follow us on Facebook. They can follow us on Instagram. They're really, it would be hard to not find us if you're looking.
Oh, yeah. You can find us pretty dang easily.
We have this podcast now. So My Voice is on. Right now, I think we're just on YouTube.
Okay.
I think we're going to get on other things. And then, yeah.
Cool.
Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for
anytime.
Thanks for sharing your why. Thanks for using your voice and telling us your why.
Anytime.